Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
And Mina.
Hi.
Let's just dive right into it because we have a bit of a... Not a schedule. I almost said scheduling conflict. That's not right. We have a timetable we need to stick to. So let's just dive right into it. Musum, what have you been playing this past month?
So I went through 4 or 5 things. I played a little bit of Tales of Vesperia, and I've come to terms that I am burning myself out on this game by trying to push myself to beat it. So,
okay.
I'm at this point where I'm... I can't imagine they can find any more ways to extend the game story beyond kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
I have to gather these elements, and then I assume some other dungeon will appear, and then I can go solve all the world's problems.
Right.
But I'm just going to leave this on pause for a bit, like maybe a month, maybe 2, and then come back and finish it out, you know? It's still like a game I like, but I can tell from the mood I'm getting in, like I'm just going to completely turn on it if I keep pushing myself to beat it right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I won't say that I dislike about Tales games, but I always feel like every Tales game just goes on just a smidge longer than it really needs to.
Yep.
Like, it could have been 1 dungeon shorter and the game would have lost nothing for me. Or it could just be just a little less annoying at the end. I found that across almost all of them.
Yeah, like cut out like 5 hours and the game's still going to be really good.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, like, every single one of the Tales games has done for me. I'll always get to this point where I'm like, this is the end, right? And then it's like, no, we still have, 10 more hours.
Here's a new villain. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and there's all this, extra stuff to do at the end, and it's like...
there is.
Was it really necessary to bottleneck all that for the very end? Couldn't you have,
I almost feel like they could have had, this is something that I think I like about a lot of games, is where they have, the end, the definitive, the end, and then there's hey, there's a post-game dungeon.
Yeah.
Right.
For people who are okay, you reached the conclusion, but now we have a post dungeon you can go to if you're really wanting to grind this out.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of games need to do that more rather than just be you can't get to the end until you've grinded this horrible, awful terrible dungeon. Looking at you, a lot of Final Fantasy games too.
I feel like Ni no Kuni 2 did that really well, where it's look, we're pushing you towards the game and you can finish it, and once you do that, you can load your save and you'll be right outside the boss room.
Yeah.
But now you have all this additional stuff. If you really want to do it, cool, but it's not really going to affect the ending you got. It's just all this extra bonus stuff.
I love that about Ni no Kuni 2. I thought the pacing in that one was great. You could totally rush that game and just do the main story, but there was a lot of side story stuff, and then the knowledge that, you can always go and do all that side story stuff after you've beaten the game kind of made it so that way you didn't feel like, oh, I'm burning myself out. It was just more I can just beat this game right now and then, take my break. And that felt good.
Yeah.
I like the pacing there.
That's cool. Well, I also have been playing... a bit of Vampyr, or Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Vampire because I know it calls itself Vampire, but there's a Y.
I know, it drives me nuts.
I know we talked about that last time.
We did. I remember.
It will always upset me.
So this is a game I have a lot of mixed feelings on. I'm still in, I think, the Chapter 1 phase. I'd just gone through the morgue, and then I went and had to fight this wolf vampire thing in the sewers, and I almost stopped playing the game at that fight.
Oh no.
I feel like they've tried to shove in combat that is a bad version of Dark Souls into this really story social game, and I don't think it works.
So I've gotten so much flack from this. I really think Vampire would be an incredible game if it had turn-based SRPG grid-based combat. I think based on how you're supposed to play the dialogue part of the game, where it's this real investigative, slow-paced, take your time thing, the battle system doesn't make very much sense. You're supposed to be like dodging and parrying and attacking, and it doesn't work.
I really don't like it. Like, I eventually beat the werewolf thing, but like top that off with like I was fighting that werewolf thing, and I think I was like level 2, level 3,
right?
Like, because I'm so afraid about when to sleep. Like, I thought, I thought like, okay, like I've heard or read, or maybe you or Moon or someone said like, don't sleep until everyone's taken care of. But like, I always have quests, so like I'm uncertain of it, and like.
Is it like story progression sort of thing? Like
it's world progression. So like everything progresses a day. So like bad sectors of the world get worse. Good sectors of the world sort of get neutral. Like people move around and storylines progress, and it's a little intense.
Yeah, like. I mean, isn't it like if someone's sick or something, they have the possibility to get more sick or die or something, like therefore closing whatever quest lines they might have for you. And like, it's a really cool mechanic until you put that combat on top of it. And like, you know, I think you're right. I think a turn-based would be cool. Like, truthfully, I'd be cool if this game had almost no combat in it. Like, just once in a blue moon, you had to use your vampire powers, and other than that, it was wandering around solving mysteries and kind of balancing. Oh, I can't do this thing because I haven't eaten enough people yet, or something. But
or like you do, it's almost like a dialogue check where it's like, are your vampire powers strong enough to do X, Y, or Z? Yeah. That's why I started the game back over on easy. I got to that first boss, and first real enemy actually, and. Like almost everybody that plays this game, almost quit. So I started back over on easy when they introduced easy in a patch. Killed that boss in like 5 hits. Like it is hilariously easy at that point. So that has made it feel a lot better for me.
So what are the negatives of going with easy mode on that?
I don't believe there really are any. I think you can't get the achievement for eating everybody on that one. But like, whatever. I think you see the full story and you get the full experience. There's just like 1 or 2 achievements or trophies you can't get.
Okay. I might consider that. Like, I've gotten to a point where I don't know. I'll see. We'll see what the next like round of enemies does to me. Because like after you beat that wolf guy, like you're wandering through Whitechapel, and that wolf guy is just an enemy there.
Yep.
Oh, just a normal enemy?
Yeah, like immediately. Yeah.
Like
it's rough.
Even the regular townsfolk are kicking my butt. Like, what's the point of being a vampire if the regular townspeople are going to kick my butt?
I feel like the game is really trying to encourage you, like, to balance how many people you eat versus how many quests you want to do, but I don't want to eat anybody.
Yeah.
I have a no slurp rule.
Vampire.
I've gotten to the point where, like, there are a couple people I'm like, okay, this gets worse. I'm just going to eat these people. Well, I mean, that's the other problem. Like, you eat someone, then you have to rest to make use of the experience. You can't use that experience then. So, like, it's a double whammy. Like,
yeah, it's interesting.
I have to be working on a quest where things aren't going to get worse, and then I have to pick someone out that I'm okay with just ending their life and whatever quest they might bring. And then I have to hope that they don't have a relationship with someone that's going to make things even harder for me. So it's...
Right.
Yeah. I don't... Yeah. It's a... Like, I really like the vibe of the game. I love all the voice acting and the dialogue. Like, the writing is very much this kind of comedy of manners, like type Victorian era novel almost. Like, your main protagonist is so overly polite. Like
the nicest vampire.
Like, there's some, like, it'll give me choices and responses, and I'll be like, oh, crap. I sound like a jerk in all of these. And I select one, and he says it in the nicest possible way.
Right,
like,
right.
It's
something.
Yeah. But, like, playing that made me really think, like between that and, like, Vampire Bloodlines 2 coming out next year, I was really theming to play Vampire Bloodlines 1. And luckily, GOG had it on sale for, like, $15 or something. So I picked that up. I went and downloaded the fan patch, and I the fan patch, when it installs, like gives you the option to add in all these unfinished quest lines that they had in there too. So I clicked on that as well. And it's an old game, but it's still, and it's kind of a ridiculous like 90s feeling game in a wheel.
Yeah.
Like a 90s comics feeling game. Like you almost expect everyone to have like pockets over everything. Like it's,
right. They have like a wallet
90s.
chain.
Yeah. But like the soundtrack like could be like a Crow soundtrack like type of thing.
Yeah.
But man, that game's good. It's like Deus Ex, but with vampires, effectively. Like, you're just wandering around, sneaking. It's mostly talking to people. They go a little bit too wild with the fonts, I think. Like, like, all the vampire stats give you a lot of different dialogue options that may or may not be present. And you don't, like, it's not like a game where you see it and it's grayed out. It's just not there if you can't do it. But, like there's a seduction one. Is there an option to use my vampire mind powers or whatever to do something here? One of the funniest ones I did was you were, what was it? For some reason, I had broken into the blood bank, and the blood bank is run by this guy behind the window who's just absolutely crazy and sells blood to vampires. And just like, if you don't buy blood from him, he'll just keep describing blood, like trying to appetize you for it. But like, it turns out, like, you're following this storyline, and it turns out there's this person that you think is there at the morgue. That's where all the clues are leading to. Like, you went to, like, it's a big long quest line where you have to go to the diner and kind of investigate what they did there, and then you go to this bail bond place and hack their computer and go through it. And finally you get there and figure out this person is probably here. You find the code, go in, find them strapped to a chair. You unlock the chair, and then some guard comes in and gets upset with you. The vampire you just unstrapped immediately eats the guard, and then you have kind of a choice to blackmail that vampire there or not for breaking Masquerade and doing that or whatever. And then you let that person go, and then the crazy person of the blood bank comes in and are like, I can't believe you just killed that guard. I was going to kill that guard. Now I'm going to have to kill you. And like, one of my options, it was a vampire power. And it was just like a bunch of laughter. Like, it was just the words ha 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 in a weird font, and it was red. So I was like, well, screw it. Like, my character's a Malkavian, and I guess they're just crazy. Like, I'll get into more of that in a minute. But so I clicked that, and the guy just started laughing. And then I had another dialogue option to just do the ha 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 thing again. And we just like laughed back and forth for a minute. And he's like, what were we talking about? Oh, well, we're good.
Oh,
man. It's, it was nuts. Like, the Malkavian thing is a lot of fun to play. Like, they give you like a little quiz to kind of determine your vampire clan. If you've never played Vampire the Masquerade, all the vampire clans kind of determine how you behave socially too. Like, Malkavians are evidently cursed with being crazy. And the way part of the way the game stimulates that is you're constantly like hearing voices in the game that are just randomly coming out of the speakers. Like, and they're just saying like nonsense stuff. Sometimes it's a baby crying. Sometimes it's someone saying that there's something leaking from a grave or something like that. And
oh, wow.
Just like, at first it's unnerving, but it happens so often. It's just like nothing else in the game kind of scares you because you constantly have these creepy voices coming at you.
Right.
But like, the other fun thing about the Malkavian is for some reason the character just constantly talks like a Ren Fair reject, like to everyone. And they can't just say yes or no or here or there. Like, whatever words someone use, they either put those words into like some sort of alternate meaning. I wish I'd written down like an example of it, but it would be gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. I regret not. I'll try and write something down for next time. But it's a really fun game. I never beat it in the past. I think I got past. I think I'm almost to where I was when I originally played it, but I that was like 10 or 15 years ago, and I remember so little of it that it's all fairly new to me. And last time I played a Nosferatu, which can't, like, the shtick about the Nosferatu and the Masquerade is they look like monsters, so they can't really exist above ground, so you're just kind of staying in the sewers the whole time. But anyway, I like that game a lot. It's definitely old. It's definitely super corny in a lot of ways. But
it's a kind of a classic for a reason.
Yeah. And it's, playing it on computer, like, I really wish they'd port it to something else, but like, I've heard playing the game without the fan patch is just incredibly glitchy, and like, most of the stuff you do on a computer, like, in that game, you're actually typing stuff in on your keyboard. So I don't.
Oh, okay.
They'd have to reinvent that system or something. But it's also funny too, because like all the, like, normally where other games would have mini games, they just let you do a thing here. Like, oh, there's no hacking mini game. I press Control-C, and it just makes a check against my hacking skill, and either I hack it or I don't.
Oh, okay. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. It's a nice kind of semi-straightforward type of thing, and no idea where it's going or what it's doing. The character models are pretty goofy looking, I think, mostly. Like,
the
Malkavian is like this weird, lanky... honestly, when they showed me what the Malkavian had to look like, I almost went to a different character because it looked so goofy. It's like this shirtless guy with, like, this white dude with, like, slightly longer arms and longer legs, and he had, like, almost like these little cornrow dread things randomly on his head, but they aren't like he looks like he's balding with cornrows, like with dread cornrow things. So it's very different. Like, I feel like I could be the front man for like a 90s rock ska band or something. But
90s new metal band.
Yeah, that's it. So anyway, also on that sale, I picked up another game that I wasn't familiar with at all. I read up on it a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? I need something new that no one has ever told me about that I can just discover on my own. And that was Grim Dawn.
Oh, yeah. I haven't thought about this in a while.
So Grim Dawn is like a Diablo-style game. And I've not played much of it, but I like it a whole lot. And I think I've needed a Diablo-style game in my life for a while. And this one, like, having the extra fun of discovery in it, of, like, everyone's played Diablo. I literally don't know anyone that's played this. So I bought the main game and, like, I think 2 of the expansions that sounded like they came with extra class type things. So when you start the game initially, like, it doesn't roll up a character or anything. You just tell it whether you want a male or a female. You start playing, and then you level up, and then you can put a point into a class. And it presents you, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 different classes you can choose from. And I went with Necromancer. And then at a certain point, I think it's level 10, you unlock a second class. So you have, like, these 2 decent sized skill trees for these 2 classes that combine. And it, like, makes up a name for whatever the combo is. So, like like a Necromancer and a fighter, they call a Death Knight, for instance.
Gotcha.
Mine is, I think, called a Kabbalist, because I went with a Necromancer and Occultist, because I wanted to be kind of a summoning-based thing, and it looked like the Occultist got some more summons and some summon buffs and things. So, like, right now I'm rocking, like, 5 skeletons and a crow for my familiar. The other thing they have in it is they have... it sounds like something like 50 temples in the game, and every time you cleanse a temple, it gives you a point to put in your I should have written down the name of the chart, but it's kind of like a giant, like a smaller sphere grid from Final Fantasy X. They do it as a bunch of star alignments. You have the initial one, and you choose a point in one, and it opens, like, all these other ones, and if you get all the points in one particular constellation, then you get, like, an extra bonus.
Oh, cool.
So it's just got a lot of cool character customization. Other than that, like it's pretty much a Diablo game. You know, you hold shift to stop moving and continue attacking. I guess, Diablo doesn't have guns, right? No, they do have guns, right? Diablo 3.
The Demon Hunter has like bows and crossbows and stuff.
Okay. Well, this one has straight up guns, so
nice.
I guess they borrowed some from, was it Torchlight that did that?
Yeah,
Torchlight did have guns. Yeah.
So I'm a necromancer with like a two-handed cannon, and
that's great.
It's I don't know, it's fun. It's got like the visual aesthetic and time period seems to be like a, I don't know, 1700s, like Black Plague era England type thing. Because you'll occasionally see the pilgrim hat on a dude or something, but everything's pretty run down. They do have a big world map too that kind of marks what you've done and what you haven't, which is kind of cool. And they also have factions in the game, which I'm not really clear what that means, but it sounds like some factions will be friendly to you until you attack them, type of thing. And I've so far I guess I've run into 3 factions: the humans that are helping me, and then the 2 enemy types that I've been attacking. But it does make me wonder, like if I'd picked Druid, like one of the enemy types I've been attacking has been these monster animal things, and I think Druids have some sort of affinity with them. So like, would they have not attacked me had I been a Druid? I don't know.
Right.
Reading the forums, it sounded like that might be a thing, but it seems like a really cool game. I'm excited to dig into it more. And last, I'll try and be brief on this. I just wanted to talk about Epic 7 one more time.
Yeah.
Nina's been waiting.
I adore this game. Thank you so much, Mina, for
going off on it. Great. It's not like the most like free to play version of a mobile game out there, but damn if it's not my most favorite one to play.
Well, like you say that, but I've spent a decent amount of money in Marvel Strike Force. I spent a lot of money in Marvel Avengers Academy.
Yeah.
I've spent
me too, man.
Plenty of money in Brave Exvius. I've spent no money in Epic 7.
Nice. And it's fun, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, the only thing that I spend money on really in Epic 7 is that monthly pack or whatever, the $4.99 pack or whatever it is, that gives you some gems every single day, but also gives you like an XP bonus to your unit, so that way they level up faster.
Nice.
Which helps me level up like the little garbage 2 stars faster, so that I can make the wolves faster. Like the whole chain of everything. That's the only thing I've spent money on. Though I could honestly cut it off now because I have plenty of characters leveled up. But
well, I'm up to 2 6 stars right now. I couldn't get all, like, for Saul during
that was a grindy event.
Well, and I made it, but then I got to a fight in the hard tournament that I couldn't beat. And I just didn't, like, I had enough currency to beat it, but I just couldn't beat it.
Didn't have the power.
Yeah. So, and that kind of sucked too, because like it was like 1,000 currency or something for that fight, you know. And when you're doing these fights, you're only getting the ones I was doing, because I can only do it on normal difficulty. It was only dropping 12 of that currency. So I grounded 1,000 currency that I could not spend anywhere else.
Oh, jeez.
Which that was lame, but I still managed to get him up to 6 star, and he's still like a A or S or something like that, you know.
That's still pretty good.
And then for my second 6 star, I was really hedging, but I went with Assyria.
Assyria, yeah.
I don't know if that's how you say her name. She doesn't really do a lot of damage, but I really like the whole action refresh thing a lot.
Yes. So she pairs up really well with, like, if you have a real powerhouse unit, like a real strong one, she pairs up nicely with them, because she just like gives them their turn and like really boosts the power of your team by just doing that.
Yeah.
But other than that, she's just kind of like she's a decent unit, but she's just like a great accompaniment to something else.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not my main hitter, but I think my team has kind of stayed the same since last time. Like I've been using Lorena, Saul, Assyria, and Hazel.
Yeah. And you've been logging in every day, right?
Yes.
Okay, because that free 5-star.
Oh man, that was awesome. I got Ken today. What'd you get?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you got Ken?
I did.
He's amazing. You're going to love using Ken. Ken's really good. So on my main account, I got, oh no, what's his name? No. Ludwig. I got Ludwig on my main account. And then on my alt account, I got Sigrid, the one that you encountered in the story.
Sigrid. Is he the blonde knight-looking guy that also has the...
No, that's Crow.
Okay.
Crow is the blonde knight with the horse.
I'm just... Oh, right. She's the... Okay, I Googled her. She's the library-looking chick.
Yeah, she's the horrible water unit that you encountered in the story that probably was one of the biggest roadblocks for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this last week, I wrote it down for this. Like, I've gotten 3 5-star units. Like,
that's amazing.
Just on like between the free one today and then just like, I think it was free summons for the others. Cause I also got Charles and Ravi.
Charles is really good. So Charles requires some investment, but if you put him on a good enough equipment set, what's really cool is, if his basic skill strikes a unit that has a buff on it, there's a chance that he can use his S2, and his S2 actually strips all of the buffs off of a unit, along with doing more damage the more buffs he has on himself. So if you have a buffer on your team paired up with him, and you're going up against something that's getting buffs, he can be really strong. And his S3 does an AoE attack on everything on the enemy side and gives a defensive buff along with something else. I forget what the other buff is on him. Is it speed? It might be speed. I don't remember. But he gives himself 2 buffs. Party buffs, actually. He gives the entire party 2 buffs. So I really love him, and if you build him up right, he's a really, really good in both PvP and PvE type content.
I feel like he's I discovered the player ranking thing on the page button.
Yeah.
Which I've noticed for some characters fully depends on their physical appearance, but he seems to be super, like, he had a super high score, like, and he's the first knight I've gotten that I'm like, I probably should build him up, like, because I wasn't.
It's so funny because he's marked as a knight, so a lot of people think, oh, so I build him like defensively, and it's like, no. This man is not about defense. This man is about dealing damage and hurt to the other side. He's actually an attack knight, but you can build him I would build him at least a little bit tanky, not like full tanky. Like, you don't want him to just be like a damage soaker, because that's not what he is at all. But if you, I don't know, like one of the things that pairs really nicely with him is the Elbrith Ritual Sword, which is a 5-star knight artifact. If you ever get that and you put that on him, if anybody attacks anybody on your team besides him, he has a chance to counter, and he'll counter with his S1. And if he counters with his S1 on a unit that's buffed, he will strip them of their buffs. He gets like 2 hits in. It's like, awesome. He gets nuts. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And he's a really strong unit, and probably a lot of people love him because he's good in both PvP and PvE content. Charles. What a good old guy.
Yeah, Boston, for a little bit of context on Charles, is like, he's this typical like old man anime guy with like a beautiful mustache. Like,
a huge, beautiful mustache.
And then like during the middle of his last move, like, it does this up close of his face where it gets all dark, and I can't remember if his eyes turn red or not, but it has that effect. Like,
that's great.
Yeah, it has. That's also like one of the because you didn't start playing until after these events happened, but those people that like zoom past him or whatever, those are people that he's served that have basically died or passed on or something horrible has happened to. So you basically get this whole feeling of like all of the people that he has failed to protect or whatever. And then he goes in for that attack.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a pretty emotional thing to see happen because you look at them and you're like, no, these people, he couldn't help them.
I'm gonna have to look closer on that then.
Like
it's one of those games that I love playing. It just tends to monopolize my time because there's like even just doing the daily job stuff for it is like it takes half an hour to an hour. It seems like. But anyway, I don't have too much more to add on that, I don't think. But I feel like pretty satisfied with the heroes I have. So now I'm just in a, whatever Sky Stones I get, I'm just going to save till I can get that 50 Sky Stone package and just keep piling that up. And then hopefully I'll have 600 tickets or whatever it is for the next special event character or something.
A limited one, the limited banner. I don't remember exactly how many bookmarks it is, but I know that the amount of Sky Stones is like 11,500 or something like that. I don't remember. That's the amount of Sky Stones it is, and I know that because I stare at that number at the top of my screen where I'm like, I make sure I have that for the limited. The only thing that was scary was having both Baiken and Dizzy come back to back because those were 2 limiteds, and I was like, I don't have enough for 2 limiteds, so that was a little scary.
Both those units seem real good too.
Stupidly good, yes. They're what we call meta changers. They actually, because of their introduction, especially Dizzy's introduction. Her introduction actually brought back an older unit that was no longer really being used by a lot of people, but because Dizzy's now so, like, there's so many Dizzies running around, people have brought back this older unit to counter her. So the meta kind of brought back an old unit, which is kind of nice. I like that like units weren't staying always on top, and some of the units that had just basically fallen into what we would call like a C or a D tier have like risen back to an A because of a new unit. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like after I pulled that Dark Corvus, like I was really excited because he looked awesome. He was a 5-star. And then after I discovered the hero rating, like he has like a 2.6 out of 5.
It's so unfortunate that people rate him that way because it's a lot of people not using him properly. He is definitely a unit that you want to stack as much HP on as possible. You just want him to be like a huge, big, fat HP, spongy, tanky looking guy, and that is how you utilize him. But you also have to have a team that kind of works with him on that. But he's actually not that bad at all. I think there are other units that I feel a little sad for because they need more to them. But that's enough Epic 7.
Sorry. But that is all I've been playing.
Over to you, Mina.
All right. So I've played a lot of not RPGs, and we already talked about Epic 7. So the only things that I can really talk about are the 2 visual novels that I've been playing, really, and Persona Q. So let's start with the visual novels. We'll start with Steins Gate. Yeah. I have reached, and I think by now, if you've been hearing us talk about Steins Gate, you either need to have played it already, or you're just going to have to endure some spoilers because I've given us plenty of time.
Spoilers for a little bit here.
Spoilers. So I'm now at the part of the story where we've Itaru Daru, I don't remember his full name. I call him Daru. Daru, he's infiltrated CERN, and we've found documents, and I can't believe I didn't figure this out sooner. When they were talking about the Jellyman report,
right?
I thought that was just like somebody's last name or something like that, and like my brain just was like not on, right? Not shining there.
It's like a Metal Gear villain, Dr. Jellyman.
Dr. Jellyman.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a stupid name, but I was just like, whatever. And maybe this person has a stupid name. But then, like, it gets to the part where they were talking about how, like, they were looking at, like, some old, like, incident, and they had talked about human experiments, and that's when I like the last second that I could have figured out Jellyman was right,
and you're like, oh.
So yeah, that was kind of a surprise. The other thing that's going on, so I haven't gotten farther than that, so I want to be careful with spoilers for myself here.
Sure.
But, we found the IBN 51.
Yeah, the IBN 5100. Yeah.
Yeah, we found that, and for some reason, I don't know why Rintaro did this, but he decided to call the Shining Finger lady Moika. And
yes.
I was like, why would you tell her? I would not have told her. This lady is like, number one, she's super annoying. Like, she just constantly texts you, constantly back.
Oh, that's the blonde lady, right?
And she's so annoying, like, because she just won't let up. And I was just like, why would you tell her that you found it?
She texts you literally 30 times an hour, dude.
I'm like, don't do that. She's crazy.
Yeah.
I've got crazy detectors on, and they're flashing. They're like, ooh, she's nuts. Don't tell her anything. But he did, and of course she was all like, let me see it, let me borrow it, let me whatever, and he's all like, no, you can't, you have to come here. And I'm like, I don't want her coming
don't
here.
Let her in the lab.
She's crazy. I feel like that friend who's got another friend who's dating like a crazy girl or something like that. Like, don't bring her here.
Right, don't bring her to dinner. I don't like her.
But like, of course, he's like, he gave her the address of where we are, and I'm like, are you nuts?
Right.
All right.
Right.
You're bringing the crazy lady here. Or I have a feeling that she's gonna break in and steal it or something. Like, why are we doing
My
this?
favorite thing is that Okabe keeps inviting people over to your secret lab that has a time machine in it. Dude, don't let them in the building.
Like, why would you do that? I don't understand. So then the other weird thing is the part-time warrior Suzuya.
Yeah.
I don't, whatever her name is.
Suzuhara, I think. Something like that.
Whatever her name is. Something. It's Sue something.
She works in Mr. Braun's workshop.
Yeah. So she actually saw Kurisu, the girl who died at the beginning of the game. She saw her and actually recognized her, even though they had never met before. And I've been feeling for the longest, this girl is either A, an alien, B, from the future, maybe, is what I'm thinking, because her clothes kind of, I don't know, she just kind of gives this vibe to me that, she might be, a time traveler.
She's seen stuff.
Yeah, but she also talks weirdly, you know what I mean? She's not, it's not normal speech, and she kind of refers to, things that, she doesn't understand them, that are, common sense sort of things.
Right.
It feels otherworldly, like somebody who's just, walked into the wrong time period, and it's like, I'm trying to fit in as a normal person from this time period. And I'm like, but you're not. You're either an alien or you're not from here.
There's someone in Steins Gate Zero who hit me like that almost immediately too, where it's like, you're speaking strangely, there's something off about you.
Something.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling, because she actually recognized Krisu, I'm thinking that she is a time traveler, and that she met Krisu in another world line or whatever.
Right.
And maybe they were friends in another world line, or they were enemies on it. I don't know, but she reacted to her in such a way that I'm like, something's up. Something.
Yeah, all of you were acting shifty. I don't like it.
I don't understand Rintaro at all either. I gotta say this. He is a weird person, because I feel like there's some people that have that are socially inept. He is not socially inept. Because the thing is if he truly didn't understand what he was doing to upset people or whatever, he wouldn't have those thoughts of guilt
Right.
Or like he wouldn't be able to like piece things together and say to himself like, oh, I went too far right here.
Right.
So it's clearly like a lot of this is an act, and he knows it's an act.
Yeah, he's playing a character.
Like, and it's so strange because like I don't know how to describe it, because he acts like he's socially inept, and he's not.
Right.
He knows how to actually navigate these conversations. He's just intentionally crippling himself, which is so weird.
One of the things that made me really happy about Steins Gate is they explain all of that. Like, they explain
oh my God.
why he's weird. The crazy thing about Steins Gate is they explain literally everything. Like, all of the loose ends tie together by the end.
Loose ends right now, though.
Yeah,
I'm like a quilt with nothing but loose ends everywhere on the fringes.
I think if I remember correctly, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, I think you're hitting like another really big story beat.
It feels like a big story beat.
Yeah, and I was just about to ask you a question that was going to be like the biggest spoiler. I'm so glad I just stopped myself. But yeah, when you get the IBN 5100, that's like there's like a big story beat that happens.
Right.
I think pretty quickly. I think you're
I'm probably saved right.
Right, like the next scene is like this thing. But I think you want to have some time when that scene happens, and then sort of the fallout from it is. I don't think you want to get that scene and then like leave right away.
Yeah, I haven't been rushing this game really. I've been kind of like playing it and then letting everything sit so that way I can really think about stuff, because this game has a lot of stuff coming at you.
Yep.
And
it's dense.
It feels pretty dense. I think I'm only in like chapter 2 maybe, or chapter 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels very
You're pretty early on, yeah.
So I know I've been told that basically there are multiple endings or paths or something, or divergences. So I don't feel good about any options that I've picked. Like, I've been picking phone options with people.
Yeah.
I think they've all turned out badly.
Well, you'll see. I mean, you'll get your first ending pretty early on. Yeah, and
I feel like I've just navigated everything poorly, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about the character I got for my first ending was sort of like, oh, her, okay. I didn't think I picked any options that would lead me to one person. But the crazy thing about Steins Gate is like sometimes you have to ignore a text. And then, like, they'll call back later, and then you pick...
everything.
That's why I wouldn't even worry for your first playthrough. Like, you'll get a character at the ending, and you'll see that ending. You'll get one of your... There's, like...
I'm going to ignore that crazy lady, the shining finger.
That's definitely an option.
Dude, my second playthrough is just going to be, like, anytime she's calling, like... No, never gonna answer that call.
I think there's like 8 or 9 endings, and then there's the true ending. In normal visual novel behaviors, you have to see all the other ones, and then the final ending unlocks. Okay. But there's a really good community document out there for once you see your first ending, you can find it, and then find your way to all the other ones, and then unlock the true ending.
I'll probably flounder around a couple different endings, and because I know you can just speed through stuff.
Yep, and it's very fast.
So I think I'll probably flounder around a bit. If I reach a point where I'm just like, okay, let me open up a guide and figure out what endings I've acquired and which ones I need to go to.
Yeah.
Because floundering around's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's cool to see, like, what happens if I respond differently to this text or this email, or like what if I just ignore this character's text this whole game?
I'm ignoring that lady on my second round because she's
nuts,
horrible. I don't like her.
Yeah.
I've got strong opinions of Moika shining finger.
I won't spoil anything, but every character in that game is good for a reason. Is a way that I think is really exciting about this studio's games.
So that game's really good. The other visual novel I've been playing, is Miles Edgeworth Investigations Ace Attorney. I probably bungled that whole title up.
I'll have to look it up again.
So I beat case 2. I think last time we talked I beat case 1, which was the tutorial case. I beat case 2. Really solid. I think so far both of the cases that I've played through have been some of the best that I've played in the Phoenix Wright universe.
Oh wow.
The first case, probably the best first case of any of them that I've played.
Nice.
The second case, I really like how the second case kind of brought some stuff from like the older Phoenix Wright games. I don't want to say what, but like they're pretty like plot stuff that like you would remember from the first game and Edgeworth and everything. So it's kind of nice to like expand a little bit on Edgeworth himself as a story, but it wasn't like taking like a huge time off to sit there and be like, oh, this is we're just going to talk about Edgeworth for a bit. It was just kind of like it sprinkled enough in that you saw like some of Edgeworth's character development since like the early times that you played the Phoenix Wright games. But as for the case itself, a really good case. I think the villain was pretty kind of obvious because of just the circumstance and the fact that you knew that one character was definitely being set up. Like,
right.
It's like you find a mountain of evidence that indicates that it's this one person or whatever, and it's like, that's a lot of evidence to find for somebody who committed a murder. Like,
right.
Like, nobody would leave behind this much evidence. Like, it's like, oh, here's the friggin' receipt with this person's name on it that, like,
and the rope and gloves I bought.
And, like, and it's all inside her purse or whatever.
Right.
It's just kind of like, it's like, who keeps, like, all this mountain of evidence?
Right. It's all too convenient.
It's too convenient.
Yeah.
And so then basically it's just kind of like, yeah, it's definitely not this person. And once you've eliminated that person, there's only like one other person it could be. But I really liked how you solved that case. It was really good. And it's kind of weird because like the whole timeline of the cases so far, because I started case 3, I haven't finished it, but I'm halfway through it. So case 1, you're at one place, and then case 2 kind of takes you back in time to when Edgeworth was basically on a plane going to case 1, and then you get to case 3, and case 3 actually takes place between those two cases. So we're having like a very tight timeline here.
Got some Steins Gate business going on.
Yeah. So the third case started out really well. I haven't had any moments, like there were some times when I played some of the Phoenix Wright cases where, you get a situation where you're just kind of like, all right, how do I get past this section? Like the point and click sort of like I'm stuck.
Right. What do I need to look at to get out of here?
Right.
Yeah.
So what's really nice is it kind of feels like like the game is really like condense the area that I can examine and really like keep you laser focused on something. So anytime I hit a point where I was just kind of like, okay, what do I do? There's only like 5 things I can really mess with instead of like, well, it could be anywhere.
Right.
And so I like it. I'm enjoying this game a lot. I'm trying to make sure to play this game like case by case really quickly, because I don't want to forget little tiny details, because I feel like this game punishes you if you forget tiny details about the case.
Right.
But yeah, really good. I think I might even like it more than the Phoenix Wright series. So that's saying something, because I think highly of the Phoenix Wright series.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I played is Persona Q.
Persona Q2.
Q2, yes,
yeah.
Q2. Right.
New Cinema Labyrinth?
New Cinema, something like
that.
I remember the New Cinema part, so it probably is the Labyrinth at the end. So I mentioned on TVGP's Discord that I I started it and I was like, I'm gonna play it on risky, and I basically was letting people know how hard risky was, and I nearly died on the first battle.
Great.
encounter. I forget who said it in the chat, but they were like, the way you play these games really hard just really cements me and not doing the same thing.
Right. It's a cautionary tale.
Really. So, I died 4 times total so far in the first dungeon. And then I stopped because I was like, you know what? I'm going to record myself playing this game. So I started a new save file, and I'm recording myself playing through it. What I will say is, in case you played the original Persona Q and you haven't looked into Persona Q2, so something to say about this is, like, before, when you were forced to have a protagonist in the party in the original Persona Q, you don't have to do that unless you're playing on Risky. Risky, you have to use the Persona 5 protagonist.
Interesting.
Specifically, the Persona 5 protagonist.
Right.
Has to stay in the party. You don't have, like, the option of picking different, a different starting point. You always start with the P5 team. Mm-hmm. So... And on Risky has if the main protagonist dies, game over. So only Risky has that.
Okay.
Hard, normal, easy, and safety do not have that sort of those sort of restrictions. So I think I like that. They've made, like, it so that way, like, people who play on the hardest difficulty who were annoyed by the whole, I have to keep the main person in the party, right. And if the main person dies, then,
Charlie Tanoku has to be in your party.
Right. So yeah, I really like that. I think if I could make only, like, one teeny tiny complaint, I really wish... I understand that Risky is going to make it so that way, like, oh no, if your main protagonist dies, it's game over. I really wish that it had the option of saying, okay, you have to keep a protagonist in the party, like a protagonist, and if that protagonist dies, then it's a game over.
Sure.
Instead of, it has to be the Persona 5 protagonist.
Right, it has to be Akira, I think his name is.
Yeah, Akira.
Yeah.
It has to be. So I feel like if I could just make, like, the tiniest, like, and this is so minor, if I could just, like, swap him out for another protagonist. Right. If I could swap him in for the female protagonist of Persona.
Yeah, there we go.
That would be the best.
Is she in the game?
She is in the game.
Yes.
She is in the game.
That's awesome.
I don't want to spoil anything about this game at all, because it's so new, but
do her in, just, like, give me a minor spoiler. You don't have to tell me what happens. I just want to know if it happens. Do her and the male protagonist ever interact? So
you play Persona Q, and much like Persona Q, you only start with your team from Persona 5 in the game at the start. And I've made it all the way down to the final boss, but I haven't beaten the final boss. And I imagine after you beat the final boss is when, like, the whole...
all the squads come together.
You're gonna bump into the entire
Dream
squad.
team.
Gotcha.
So this is a minor spoiler. You are going to find the Persona 3 female protagonist early.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
You find her early. She's by herself, and she kind of says something like she lost her friends or whatever, and she's trying to find them. So you meet her very early. And I just wish I could swap her for the protagonist and just be like, can I just run with the female protagonist?
Yeah, the best one.
Do you think it's going to let you do that once you get the other teams in too?
No.
Not on Risky.
So. Not on Risky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not on Risky. I think that's kind of why, like, for my Let's Play, I'm going to leave it on risky, and I'm just going to restart my other file on hard, so that way I can just move around anybody, whoever I want.
Your fun file.
Yeah, basically, my fun file.
Yeah.
I'm still going to play it on hard, but and it does actually let you change from hard, normal, easy to safety. Like, you can switch between any of those 4 settings, like, whenever.
Oh, the non-risky ones?
Yeah, the non-risky. Risky just locks you into, like, you cannot change.
All risky all the time?
All risky all the time. I really like some of the changes they've made to this game. I think that if you had some complaints about Persona Q, that a lot of Q2 will kind of fix those complaints. It's not going to make if you don't like Etrian Odyssey, it's not going to make this a brand new. You're not going to be like, I suddenly like this game. I don't think that's going to happen, but it definitely, like, if you had like some minor annoyances, I feel like a lot of those got fixed. I feel like, for a lot of people, just having the main character die and like cause you a game over was just like, that was aggravating for a lot of people that I talked to, that were just like, they're like, you just have one slip up and it's suddenly everything's lost.
Right.
And that's not how this one is at all. And the thing is even in the story, like, if I'm going to complain about something, I'm going to complain right now. Even in the story, it doesn't make sense that I can't have the female protagonist take over that spot. Because instead of, like, this whole situation where, like, the people who aren't traveling with you are, like, staying at the back entrance or whatever, that's not the case in this one. They're all traveling. Like, you can swap party members inside the dungeon. So, like, it doesn't make sense that I can't have the female protagonist lead this squad.
Yeah, just let me switch.
Dang it. Sorry. I know I'm making a point out of this, but it bugs me. No. But it's fine. It's still really good. I think a lot of people will like this game, especially if you liked Persona Q. I can't believe we got Persona Q2. Yeah. Can I just continue getting Persona Qs in the future?
Right.
Like, if Atlas just wants to make it for me. I don't know if it sold very well in Japan. I don't think it did. I feel like
I think it did okay.
I didn't hear, like, great sales.
Yeah. Not like Persona Q did.
Right. Just make more for me,
just for you.
Just Atlas, keep making Persona Qs. Yeah. I will keep buying them.
I haven't started playing it, but I did kind of buy 2 of the special edition.
Did you get the Koromaru plush over there? Like, that, I'm looking at it.
That is, I haven't opened it yet. Like, I have them both, and I haven't opened it because I know I can't play it right now. But I specifically bought a second one.
There he is.
Because I want my Koromaru plush to survive.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, he's precious. I love him. Yeah. So. That was worth the price of entry for me.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Right? So, I mean, honestly, that's all I've been playing that's an RPG or a visual novel. So, Boston, what about you?
I've played a little bit of a couple of RPGs, but nothing really of note to talk about quite yet. I'm hoping to dive more into them, and I want to make sure we don't run out of time. There's a new season of Destiny 2 that started this week, the Season of Opulence. Ooh. Everything's gold-plated. It's awesome. So, not a lot of huge improvements to Destiny 2 in this season. We will talk about why in the news stories. But the big piece of content for this is called the Menagerie. And they weren't super clear about what it was going to be before it came out. But basically, you start this for anyone that hasn't played Destiny 2 in a while, and you have the season pass, go get the quest lines called the Invitation. Takes you about an hour, gets you up to power level 690, so you're ready to just do all the content. Please, Bungie, keep doing that. It's really great. Menagerie is actually a 6-person match-made activity that's like a mini raid. It is randomized which encounters you get in which order. Basically, you open up the dungeon with the very first encounter, and then in un-Destiny-like fashion, there's no fail state, which is really great. If you do really poorly on an encounter, that's okay. That just means you'll have to do another encounter. And you just kind of do enough encounters until the bar fills up, and then you fight a giant boss at the end that has sort of light raid mechanics to it, and there's no timer for that either. So you just kind of fight the boss, and then you get gear at the end. It's a much more friendly experience than we've seen out of Destiny for a while here. And it's cool to see such a big experience, a big 6-man experience that that has some cool mechanics but doesn't have a fail state like that. And on top of that, as part of that questline, you get this thing called the Chalice of Opulence, and you get these runes and all these items from just doing normal activities. The cool part about the Chalice is the combination of items you put in the Chalice guarantees a specific weapon or item or armor at the end of the menagerie. So if you really want this specific sniper rifle that you like, and then you can sort of roll masterwork however you want, put this combination of items in, it's guaranteed to drop at the end of the menagerie. So no more, running this thing 400 times just to get the shotgun you really want. You put the runes in, and it all comes out how it's supposed to. So not a lot else new in Destiny 2 this season so far. We just started, and like they've done with previous seasons, every week there will be stuff coming out. So there's exotic quests and new weapons and heroic stuff. The raid came out, which only a handful of people beat in the first 24 hours. It looks very challenging in a fun way. I think that's about it for Destiny 2. We'll talk more about the future of Destiny 2 in the news stories, which let's get to now. Let's get to releases here, since that's all I've been playing this month. We just talked about Persona 2 Q2, New Cinema Labyrinth, is out now for 3DS, along with The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2 is out now for PS4, and Warhammer Chaos Bane for PC, PS4, and Xbox One is out now. Warhammer Chaos Bane is really interesting. They made a Diablo game in the Warhammer universe.
Oh, I bet that's awesome.
So that I was expecting that to be like another third-person shooter or real-time strategy or whatever, but it looks pretty cool. So might have to check that out. Also, Octopath Traveler is out now on Steam. I did not enjoy Octopath Traveler, but it is out on something other than the Switch right now. And last but not least, Judgment is coming out on PS4 on the 25th. That is the brand new game from the Yakuza team. That's their other series, which is basically Yakuza, which is great. So 2 thumbs up for them. All right, let's move on to news stories. We do have a lot to talk about Destiny 2, and it's not just me being excited about Destiny 2, like usual. Bungie had a giant live stream this past week, which was initially billed as talking about the future of Destiny 2, and then they kind of dropped a whole bunch of bombs about how Destiny 2 is fundamentally changing. First up, they announced the Destiny 2 Shadow Keep, which is their new expansion, in a wild shift from what they've done before. This is a standalone expansion. If you don't own any piece of Destiny 2, that's cool. You can buy and play Shadow Keep by itself. And they'll basically, as soon as you fire it up, you'll be level 50, like level 750. So you can just hop right in with your friends. Going Back to the Moon, that comes out on September 17th. If you're like me and you're crazy about Destiny 2 Collector's Editions, the current one is pretty limited, so go scoop it up. It's not cheap, though. So, FYI. They announced no more exclusive content. Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, down with exclusive content. Cross-save. Most importantly, across all platforms.
I heard about
PS4,
that.
Xbox One, PC, and Google Stadia. Once their cross-save comes out, you will basically pick a platform where your characters are, and then that set of characters will go across all of those platforms simultaneously. basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks really great, and I'm super excited that I can play my character with more people without having to start over on every single platform. So
do that with every game ever, world.
Yeah.
Please.
Now that Sony is sort of loosening the reins on that, I'm hoping they'll continue to do that. They did also, like I mentioned, they announced that it's coming out on Google Stadia. We'll talk a little bit more about Google Stadia next month when we cover some E3 stuff, because there's some clarification on some stuff that still needs to come out. But most importantly, Destiny 2 is going free to play, mostly. They've announced Destiny 2 New Light, which is basically Destiny, everything from Destiny 2 Year 1 for free. So that was up to and including Forsaken. And the cool part about what they're doing is, if you've never played Destiny 2 before, when you fire up Destiny 2 New Light, you play through the first mission of Destiny 1, where you wake up, you go through old Russia, and you get your ship, and you go off to the tower. Once you get there, you're level 50, you're light level 750, you can go play anything you want from the game completely for free with your friends.
That's awesome.
The only thing you need to buy is some story stuff from Forsaken. You can get to the Dreamy City and all the destinations as soon as it opens up. From what they're saying, maybe including the moon from Shadowkeep. But if you want to play storyline stuff from Forsaken, you'll buy that. And there'll be some stuff from Shadowkeep that you need to buy. And then no more annual passes. If you want to play the stuff that comes out in a season, you can buy just that season. If you don't want to play that stuff, don't buy that season. You don't have to play it. You can just play all of the other stuff with your friends. So that's really great, because I would like more people to play Destiny 2. And everyone is really sick of answering the question of, I want to play Destiny 2. Where do I start? And it's like, well, buy these 4 things, and it's $100, and yada yada. It's like, download this thing. It's free. Play literally a 15-minute mission, and then come join us with all the cool stuff we're doing. So I'm really excited about the future of Destiny 2. They're really lowering or removing the barriers of entry, which I think is the smartest thing they could do. And come play Destiny 2 with me. All this stuff happens September 13th to 17th this year. And if you want to go buy the Forsaken collection right now with the annual pass, it's only $40 on every platform. That's everything Destiny 2 right now. So if you want to get started on all that stuff, go do that. And come play Destiny 2 with me. It's lonely. Baldur's Gate 3 announced. Probably the biggest announcement happening this year. Not only is Baldur's Gate 3 announced, the Larian Studios, the developers behind Divinity Original Sin, is working on it, which is basically the perfect studio you want to have working on this. So,
I mean, it had to either be them or Beamdog.
It's pretty incredible that we're going to get another one of these, and when you hear who the developer is, it's like, yeah, okay, great.
I mean, they've already gone on and said they're going to use Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules on it. Like, it was announced officially on the Google Stadia stream, but like GOG is already advertising that they're going to do pre-orders for it soon, so obviously it's going to go everywhere it can.
They said it's coming to GOG and Steam, not Epic, and Google Stadia.
Not Epic. That's weird.
Yeah, I must be some line in the sand for them, but I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. But it's coming out a whole bunch of places, and if their past works are any indication, it'll probably come to PS4 and Xbox One as well, because Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 did. And if they can squeeze it on there, hopefully Switch. So they can get a whole bunch more copies.
Didn't they already have like a release date for it too?
I thought I had seen one, but this news story doesn't have one in it, so I don't. I thought it was coming at the end of the year, and that sounded wrong.
I know. Like, they didn't show gameplay or anything. It was just a CGI cutscene that probably isn't even in the game,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
okay.
So we'll be we'll be watching that one as it comes out, because that's a huge release. Next up announcement, Sega has announced Citizens of Space, which is a sequel to Citizens of Earth, which I know Mina really liked. So it's nice to see that studio continuing to make games and then making, honestly, a pretty cool-looking sequel to this. They've really upped the style on this, and this looks really cool. So 2 thumbs up for them. A game I'm really excited about. We've been talking about Diablo games a lot this month. We're getting a new Darksiders spin-off game called Darksiders Genesis. It's a Diablo Darksiders game. It's actually made by Airship Syndicate, the Battle Chasers Night War people. So when that got announced, I was like, all right, I'll buy you. Gee, you got me, guys.
You just got Joe Mad back in the freaking game that way.
Yeah. So like, not a lot of info there. I expect we'll see more stuff here at E3, but they sort of finally announced. They finally announced that. So that's exciting. And then I don't think we talked about this last month. I should have pulled up the news stories from last month. The new Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer. Did we talk about that last month?
I don't remember.
Probably not then.
We can talk about it again.
We can talk about it again, yeah. They released like a minute and a half, 2-minute long Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer. And boy, that looks good.
I think we talked about it kind of in the pre-show, because I talked about some people getting mad about spoilers.
Yeah, we had talked about people getting upset about Final Fantasy VII spoilers, which is
that was like
just really great. No. Yeah, but they still not a lot of details. They did say that they're going to talk about stuff in June, which probably means Square Enix is going to have it on their stage. But I'm not really expecting a release date or anything like that. They said they're still keeping it episodic, which we'll sort of see how that goes. But at the very least, graphically, it looks really cool. So
yeah, I don't know. I feel like we all have just the same speculation we've been talking about for the last decade on what this thing could be. It's like,
right, yeah, like
what aspects are they going to play? Is you still going to be able to put Cloud and Drag to seduce that one pimp guy?
Right. They did show a little bit of
Cornea.
Yeah. They did show a little bit of gameplay, and it sort of looks like sort of Final Fantasy 15 move around gameplay a little bit, but not a ton. So it'll be pretty interesting to see what's going to come up this month. Obviously, we'll be talking about it next month, whatever they come up with this month. It's probably just another 2-minute trailer, but we'll talk about it again, I guess. Since, Final Fantasy VII is a lot of people's favorite Final Fantasy, and it's just going to be a giant game again. So
it's always
it'll be the same trailer with like 20 more seconds
right
into it.
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time. Like, I work with a guy who's he just recently got back into gaming, has just been going through one Final Fantasy after the other. It's kind of unreal. Like,
right,
every 2 weeks he started a new one and somehow managed to put 80 hours in each one,
right.
Like, he's like, man, did you see that Final Fantasy VII trailer? I can't believe they're actually doing it and coming out. And I'm like, well, they first announced that thing when the PlayStation 4 came out, right?
Yeah, it's like been like 7 years.
It's been a long time. There's some issues there. Like,
don't hold your breath for Square Enix.
We're going to talk more about like their release schedule for it or something. Or they said something like, yeah, we'll talk more about a release schedule after E3 or on E3 or so. They used some sort of wording like that made me suspicious that the article I was reading translated it right, because there's no way I feel like they would have committed to anything like that.
Yeah, especially since they had to restart development after they took it away from CyberConnect 2. Like, that game was in trouble for a while. And I still don't know what CyberConnect 2 did, but if someone rips a game away from them, something had to have gone really wrong.
You think Platinum's finishing this game for him too?
Yeah, I don't know. I I'm wondering who is working on this game other than Square Enix.
Monolith works with Square Enix a lot. Monolith did a lot of Final Fantasy 15. I bet they're working on this too.
Probably. I bet they probably have the majority of the companies they work with them. I bet Platinum's actually not working with them right now because Platinum just announced going independent. And they're going to self-publish. So I wonder if I bet they're busy over there focusing on that stuff and not the 20 years Final Fantasy VII development cycle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for them to tell me that Naoki Yoshida is now working on that project because that poor man has been basically thrown on any project that is languishing.
Right.
And that man needs a break. He needs a vacation.
Yeah, he needs a vacation from being a fixer.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 was basically not going to ship at all, period, until they just they grabbed him off of 14 and was like, hey, fix this.
Yeah, go fix this one. Yeah.
So.
All right, that's all of our news stories for this month, and that's our episode for this month. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com, everywhere to find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page, patreon.com/E1M1, the ones are numbers. Get all the cool behind-the-scenes and early access to all the E1M1 shows, including this. Where can we find you, Musim?
You can find me at jbaudio.net.
And where can we find you, Mina?
You can find me on YouTube or on Twitch at Mina KO Rocket in Boston.
You can find me at e1m1.com for all my shows. And I think that's it. So we'll see you all next month.
Bye.
Bye-bye.